Welcome back to my channel. Today I am teaching you guys how to make 3 different delicious paleo desserts that you're gonna love because they taste great and they're great for you. If you haven't downloaded my free healthy dessert ebook, definitely get on that. There are my tried and true recipes that I make pretty much every week, at least one of them. They're delicious and they're easy. So pick that up down in the description box or my comment below, and let's go ahead and make some desserts. So the first dessert we are making are these Nutter Butter cookie sandwiches. I'm using some almond butter to keep it paleo. If you are nut-free, you can use sunflower seed butter, or if you're not paleo and you just want to make a healthier version, you can use the traditional peanut butter. To that, I'm adding in some maple syrup as well as a little bit of vanilla, and this is what's going to make our wet ingredients. For our dry, I am using almond flour as well as a little bit of coconut flour and some baking soda, and this is what's going to make the Nutter Butter cookies themselves. But what's great is that it's made with whole ingredients. There's nothing fake or artificial in it either, and it really comes together quite easily. Then I'm going to roll the dough into little balls so that we can make the Nutter Butter shape. So the secret is to use a fork and just press down the cookie both directions so you get that marks that the traditional Nutter Butters have. And then I'm also going to do one on top so that we can really get that shape that the traditional ones have. And then all you have to do is bake them off for about 10 minutes at 350 and allow them to cool. Once they're nice and fully cooled, I'm going to spread on some almond butter. But again, you can do a seed butter here too. Just make sure you allow them to fully cool because otherwise the warmth of the cookie will really melt everything and it's kind of just going to run all over the place. So you want them nice and cool. And then just put another cookie on top and you have these wonderful, delicious Nutter Butter cookie sandwiches that are so yummy but are made with better for you ingredients. Nice whole foods, but honestly, they taste so good. You're not even going to miss the original. Next, we're making caramel apples. So for this, I'm using a simple date caramel that you guys have seen me make for my Mars bars and my Snickers, with a little bit of vanilla and some almond butter, and then just blending that until it's nice and smooth. And then you just have to take your apple. So I'm using Honeycrisp and I put a popsicle stick in it to kind of make it like the traditional apple, but also to help kind of hold it while I spread on the caramel. And the great thing about this caramel is that dates already have a very naturally sweet, but also caramel flavor to them. So it's really simple to get that feel while using something like a whole food as opposed to a refined sugar, which is great. So just spread that into a nice even layer so that whatever you're going to put onto it is able to stick to the apple. So I'm doing some dairy-free chocolate chips. This is really delicious, but you can also do a chopped nut. You can do slivered almonds, walnuts. You can even dunk this in chocolate if you want to kind of have a harder chocolate layer on the outside of your caramel too. You can also do something like a coconut, so flaked coconut is another great option. And what I like about these apples is that it's also a really fun activity. So if you have a family, if you've got kids, this is great for them to do because they can top it with however they like. And it's still a way to do something fun and festive like caramel apples, but still keep it something that's going to be good for them. So for this one, I'm doing flaked coconut. You can also do shredded coconut or whatever your toppings of choice are. Just something to kind of coat the outside. And then all you have to do is allow them to kind of gel up and harden a bit with the caramel and they are good to go and you can enjoy them all season long. They're definitely a very festive, delicious treat that you need to make. And then we are making pumpkin brownies. So for the base, I'm starting off with some dairy-free chocolate chips as well as some coconut oil. And then I'm going to set that to melt while I make the dry ingredients. So you can melt it either in the microwave or a double broiler. And then I'm adding in some almond flour, coconut sugar, cacao, baking soda, as well as a little bit of arrowroot, which really helps to give it a nice chewy texture to the brownies. I find when you're doing paleo baking, a mixture of flours is always best because it kind of really helps with the texture. Once the chocolate's melted, I'm adding in some vanilla as well as 2 eggs. You can use flax eggs here or a chia egg, but I would really suggest to allow them a good 10-15 minutes to really kind of gel up and get to that egg consistency so that they can really bind and hold the brownies, because that's the point of the eggs, is that they really add a binding, holding ingredient to the brownies. So then add your liquid ingredients to your dry and just gently fold everything until it's nice and combined. And these brownies are definitely amazing on their own. They're deliciously fudgy and moist, but to make them a little bit more festive, I am going to add in a little bit of a pumpkin swirl. But if you don't like pumpkin, you can definitely bake the brownies as is. They're delicious. But if you want to know the pumpkin swirl, we're going to make that now. So I'm using some pureed pumpkin that I just buy at my local local grocery store. And to that, I'm adding in some dairy-free yogurt. I do make sure to get a natural one, one without added sugar, because that way you're able to control the sugar content. A little bit of arrowroot just to really help it kind of get that nice chewy texture in the brownie. And then I'm just going to stir this all together. For a little bit of sweetness, you could add a little bit of maple syrup, but I find it's great on its own. But if you find you want it a little bit sweeter, just add in about a teaspoon or 2 of maple syrup. So then I just took an 8x8 pan and I lined it with some parchment paper. I find this makes it very easy with baked goods because you can just lift the brownies out after and cut them up. But if you don't have parchment paper, definitely make sure you grease your pan. Either one, just so that your brownies don't stick to your pan, because there's nothing worse than forgetting to spray your pan and then everything is stuck. So just go ahead and spread that out onto the bottom of your pan, and then take your pumpkin and scoop it out into giant spoonfuls, because we're going to be swirling it. So whenever you're swirling something, you basically scoop it out into giant spoonfuls, and then we're going to use a knife to basically cut and swirl the pumpkin into the chocolate brownie batter. So I'm using a knife here, and as you can see, you just kind of swirl back and forth. There's no really right or wrong way to do this. You kind of just swirl this around until it's nice and combined, and then we're going to bake that off at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 25 minutes. And then all you have to do is slice up your delicious fudgy pumpkin brownies. These came out so delicious. I cut mine into 9 so that I get a nice big square, but you can definitely make them smaller too, or make 2-bite brownie size ones if you'd like. And I would definitely keep these in the freezer if you're not going to consume them all on the day of, just because baked goods dry out in the fridge. So if you're not going to eat them all while they're fresh, definitely freeze them. That will keep them nice and moist and fresh for as long as possible. But they're honestly such a good, easy treat that's festive, delicious, and wonderfully chocolatey. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and let me know any requests you have down below, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.